Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the blackbraziltoday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So tonight, this video that I'm gonna put together comes courtesy to one of my contacts. He shot this to me over on Instagram because I hadn't heard about this story. And I says, "Oh wow, definitely have to talk about this." It's just in some ways this kind of thing doesn't even really come to as surprise anymore because I've beat this topic up so much over the years, and I keep coming back to state the same thing. And I'm just saying, Brazil every day seems to provide more evidence of what I've long said. So what are we talking about today? In Itaúna, Brazil, a white man pays a black man 10 reais to use his belt on his bare back. Now, you see, I avoided the W word here. I mean, I think you understand what I'm trying to say here. But, with the YouTube algorithms and censorship, certain words and images that you can't use, I'm going to get into this video today, but I had to edit it because I know that if I was to put it up here just as it is, it wouldn't get through YouTube censor. So I'm going to play a little bit of the video, and then the rest of it, I'm going to edit it and just use photos because, as I said, this video wouldn't make it on the YouTube if I was to just post it as it is. But anyway, like I said, I heard about this story just today, and I just wanted to react to it because, again, it features more evidence of a topic and an opinion that I've had for some years now. When you study Brazil long enough, you'll come to certain conclusions. People might agree, people might disagree, but all I can do is present the evidence and let the viewers come to their own conclusion. So anyway, before I get into this video and analyze it and put it in the context, definitely like this video, share this video, consider subscribing to the channel, click on the notification bell. Definitely, I want to get a conversation started after I fill you in on what this video is about. So with that said, let's just get directly into the video and I'll talk a little bit more about this. So I had never heard of this city in Brazil. I know about the state of Minas Gerais. I've been to Minas Gerais maybe 3 or 4 times since I first started visiting Brazil. And there's no way to get around this. When we're dealing with a topic like this, we always, we have to look at Brazil's history of slavery. We have the 350 some years of slavery starting in like the 1530s and ending in 1888. It's like 350 years of human bondage, institutional slavery. But even nowadays, we have something that reporters, people who analyze these situations, Brazil has something that's going on today that's called work that's analogous to slave conditions, right? Every year, hundreds, if not thousands, of Brazilian workers are found and rescued in might be in apartments, might be, on farms. And these people have been, I don't know, maybe they ran away from their homes or they were taken from their homes. They were dropped off by somebody in their family, and then the family just took advantage of them and just basically, even though we're not talking about slavery that has people have chains on their ankles and feet and their wrists, nothing like that. But people are forced to work and give their labor and work for free, like nonstop. And this is something that we see all the time, every year. I say it all the time. Like, I could create a whole blog or YouTube channel just reporting on how many times Brazilian authorities find Brazilian men and women working in conditions that are similar to slavery, in 2024. So watching this video and this report today, listening to this story, you have to keep in context that Brazil was the last country in the Americas to end slave labor, right? I think Brazil's slavery era ended in 1888, like some 25 years after it ended in the United States. Plus, as I always remind you, Brazil imported 10 to 12 to maybe 15 times more enslaved Africans than the United States. So what happened in this video, you can't help but contextualize it against Brazil's slave past and even conditions of slavery in current day Brazil. When you follow the situation in Brazil enough and you hear the jokes and comments that people continue to make about slavery or slaves, it just shows that the slavery era remains etched in the public psyche. You know, Brazilians always like to make references to slavery as if Black people today are still slaves. Too much evidence to be able to deny this. You read anything on social networks, you listen to what people say on YouTube, or just, the conversations I've had with people, right? The image of Black people in Brazilian society, as I've said repeatedly, Brazil continues to look at non-white people of mostly African or indigenous ancestry as second-class citizens. That they should not have the same rights as the people who consider themselves or are seen as white. And again, of another video like this, it goes to show that Brazil continues to have a certain nostalgia about the slavery era. Deny it or affirm it, I mean, the evidence is in abundance. So let me get into this story for today. Again, I have to edit this video because I can't really show it to you fully without, probably getting struck by YouTube or getting demonetized or whatever. I'm going to show you enough that you'll be able to come to your own conclusion about what's going on in this video. So, in Itaúna, Brazil, white man pays Black man 10 reais to use his belt on his bare back. Again, the WH word that I won't use here. It was a joke. The problem was that the video went viral on the day of Zumbi's Palmares, says the aggressor. What does he mean by that? I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Today's story is courtesy by two writers, maybe journalists, Carol Neves and João Paulo Ferreira. So let me go ahead and talk about what happened in this particular story. A Black man was assaulted with a belt on his back by a white man who offered to pay 10 reais to assault him. The episode happened on the 10th of this month in the Minas Gerais city of Itaúna, but a video recording the aggression began to circulate on the internet this week, and the aggressor was arrested on Thursday the 21st, which is actually today. Minas Gerais, I'm gonna show that on a map. It's a pretty big state in Brazil. I've been there numerous times. I love Minas. In the video, the aggressor begins by introducing himself and saying, "Para de Minas and region." Here, it is God is more. This year, it is God forbid. Soon after, there is a sequence of disconnected speeches or comments, including topics such as the U.S. election, Lula and Bolsonaro. So for those who don't, obviously we know that the U.S. election, I guess, has been a couple of weeks past now, but Lula is the current Brazilian president. He's serving his third term. He was formerly president from 2002 to 2010, I believe. Jair Bolsonaro had a one term. I think he went from 2018 to 2022. He is considered the Brazilian Donald Trump. Right. So Lula and Bolsonaro went head up in the last election and Lula edged him out. But Bolsonaro is still a very popular candidate and politician in Brazil. So this is what he's saying. Topics in the video were talked about, like the U.S. election, Lula and Bolsonaro. OK, this is Brazil. In red is the state of Minas Gerais. Here's a blow up of the state of Minas Gerais. The victim appears in the background shirtless. The attacker then removes the belt from his pants. Let's do it differently. He wants to use drugs. Doesn't he want to work? He asks. 10 reais and he will let me whip him twice. And the sponsorship is from Sandoval's bar, he adds, referring to the establishment in the front. With his belt in hand, he says he will give the victim 10 reais to buy drugs. He beats Djalma. The guy's name, the Black man in the video, is called Djalma. That's his name. He beats Djalma with 3 blows and asked if the person filming is already recording. A person laughs in the background as the victim is assaulted. Okay, real funny, right? The aggressor, his name is Ralph Vilaça, 44. He told TV Global that the video was recorded about 15 days ago with the consent of the victim. He said that both are drug users and that they were under the influence of narcotics when the video was recorded. That's intriguing. He's saying that the Black man agreed to participate in this video. Who's to say? I don't know what the proof of that is. He's saying they're both narcotics users. They were under the influence. I'm not sure. I have to wait to get more evidence from that. My question here is, he says it's a joke. I don't see anything funny about it. But number one, why would a Black person in Brazil, with the history of 350 years of slavery in Brazil, participate in such a joke that is a clear reference to the slavery era where black people would be whipped? On the other hand, why make a joke like this? You'll notice that he didn't choose a white man to, use to whip with a belt. He chose a black man. I mean, would he have chosen a white man to do this? In Brazil, where the position of black people in Brazilian society still says that, they should be treated like slaves. So all of this have to be taken into context. I'm saying, again, this speaks to the psyche. Why is it that people still want to see black people as slaves? Why make a reference to slavery by taking a belt and whipping a man? He's bareback. Again, what is the psyche in a nation that, in reality, Brazil has had free labor still less time than the entire experiment with slavery. If we say slavery in Brazil ended in 1888 and it's 2024, that's like 136 years. Previously to that, there were 350 some years of slavery in Brazil. So Brazil has been a nation using free labor like maybe about a third of the time that slavery existed in the country. So, these images and this connection with black people to slavery is still clearly in the minds of the Brazilian population. You see stories like this all the time. Let me see, where was I? On the National Day of Zumbi and Black Consciousness, a crime of racial injury followed by bodily injury shocked the city of Itaúna in Minas Gerais state. A white man paid 10 reais to beat a homeless black man known in the region as Djalma with a belt. They showed this video on Twitter. I want to point out that November 20th was the nationally recognized, now it's a federal holiday known as the Day of Black Consciousness, which happens every year on November 20th. So what this guy is saying is that this video was recorded at least a couple of weeks ago, but however the video went viral, it caught on like on the day or the day after the Black Consciousness Day celebrated throughout Brazil as a national holiday. This is like the second or third time where something shocking has happened right around the Day of Black Consciousness on November 20th. Okay. Hope you're paying attention to these images. I'm going to run the video in a second. I was in a review, whatever that means. It was a joke. The problem was that the video went viral on the day of Zumbi dos Palmares. Again, Zumbi dos Palmares is considered the greatest the greatest hero of Black Brazilians, going back to the 17th century. He was the leader of what was called a quilombo. The quilombo was called Palmares. A quilombo, how we translate that in English, is like a maroon society where fugitive slaves who got away from the colonizers set up their own communities. So the largest and most famous quilombo in Brazilian history is Quilombo dos Palmares, and its leader was Zumbi dos Palmares. He was killed on November 20th, 1695, which is why November 20th is recognized as the Day of Black Consciousness in recognition of Zumbi. Let me see here. Let me see. I'm going to start over on this paragraph. I was in a review. I still don't know what that means. It was a joke. The problem was that the video went viral on the day of Zumbi dos Palmares. Now there's all this bureaucracy. It was a review. I'll prove it was just a review. I apologize to all Brazilians from people from Para de Minas and Itaúna as well. He said, these two being cities in Minas Gerais. Initially, the military police had identified Djalma as a homeless person and a drug addict. However, the Itaúna City Hall reported that he has a fixed residence, family members, and is accompanied by the Psychological Care Center, which they call CAPS. According to the City Hall, Djalma received assistance from the CAPS team after the event. Again, CAPS meaning the Psychosocial Care Center. So we just call it CAPS from now on. The victim of the attack was Djalma Rosa da Costa, who lives with his family in the city and does health monitoring at the Psychosocial Care Center, again, CAPS. The City Hall reported that today Djalma went to CAPS and was well, receiving reception and assistance on site. Djalma is monitored daily in CAPS AD and CAPS II or CAPS 2. for harm reduction actions and multi-professional monitoring. Regarding what happened today on social media, we informed that the legal responsible and curator of Jijama was duly guided by the CAPS 2 team on the necessary measures to formalize and represent the police report, says a note. The military police informed that they only learned about the case today. Immediately after becoming aware of the fact, the military police carried out a series of diligences and managed to identify the perpetrator of the criminal act, a man from the city of Pará de Minas. At this point, or at this moment, a police report is being prepared by the military, as well as forwarding the plaintiff to the Pará de Minas police station in order to provide clarification on the fact that occurred on November 10th, 2024. A police investigation was registered at the Itaúna Civil Police Station. Repercussions. The owner of the bar in front of which the attack occurred stated that he was disgusted with the situation and stated that he was not in the place at the time of the incident. For lawyer Maciel Lucio from the OAB's Equality and Human Rights Commission in Divinopolis, the case is serious. It is unacceptable that we still face situations like this in the 21st century. It's a real setback, he said. The OAB being like the Brazilian Lawyers Guild. So today's stories are brought courtesy of Correio 24 Horas e o Sul Mato Grossense. Those are the two websites that I cited for this story. What do you guys think about this video? I want to talk a little bit more about this, put it more into context. So let me just look at a couple of articles here. These are some links that you can find on blackbraziltoday.com. Slavery in 2020, people working in conditions analogous to slavery, which I've talked about. 125 years, this was an article from 2013. Today, 8 out of 10 people working in conditions analogous to slavery are of African ancestry. 89-year-old Black woman subjected to slavery in the city of Santos for 50 years. Woman living in conditions similar to slavery for 38 years, released by authorities. Okay, this was a slave-themed motel in southern Brazil in Porto Alegre. It offers slavery-themed rooms complete with chains, shackles, and cages. It goes on and on. Let me see what else we have here. So this is what I've been saying for a minute. Comments on social network pages show that Brazil still has a nostalgic feeling about slavery, says researcher. Right? Brazil has 3.5 centuries of slavery. So people still make jokes and comments about maids. People look at domestic work almost as a modern day form of slavery. Maids in Brazil had to fight for rights to get regular work hours, overtime pay, and these types of things. Just like, maids are treated just like they are still slaves. Then you have a number of articles that I have here, why it's wrong to say that blacks enslave blacks, the impact of slavery on Brazil, discussion of 2 authors on TV. They have a Truth Commission on Black slavery in Brazil, controversy debate over reparations for slavery in Brazil. Jokes, okay? Look at what this guy says here. And this is what I'm saying about how Brazilians still make jokes and comments that refer back to the slave era. At a popular college, I think this was either in Rio or Sao Paulo, somebody looked at this Black guy sitting on the campus, and he says, I found this slave in the smoking area. Whoever the owner is, let me know. Student at the Getulio Vargas Foundation College, suspended for racist comment, photo of a Black student. So he's talking about this guy right here. He's sitting here, on campus, minding his own business with some friends. And the guy, the guy who snapped the picture said, this guy right here says, whose slave is this? I found somebody's slave over here. Come and get him. Then we still have a lot of, comments and jokes that make references to the slave era. In Brazil, the slave quarters are what's known as the senzala. So then somebody says, volta pra senzala. It means go back to the slave quarters. So this Black woman was punched and dragged by her hair in a pub. The aggressor paid a fine and he walked free. Go back to your slave quarters. Woman arrested after racist act in supermarket in the South Zone of Rio. So this is what I'm saying. Brazilians still like to compare Black people to slaves. Here we have more jokes about slavery. Blacks were born to serve, a racial slur in the city of Campo Grande. Goes on and on. That's what I'm saying. This is why I wanted to cover this today, because it shows that Brazil still has this certain feeling towards Black people and towards the slavery era that went on for 3.5 centuries. Hard to believe, but it's been 8 years. Back in 2016, 2 of Brazil's top television networks, I think it was Global and the Record television channel, they were both airing novellas, what they call soap operas, they were both showing soap operas that were based in the slavery era. Brazil has long showed or based television novellas in the slavery era. It was like for a while, I was like, why is Brazil so obsessed? This is just more evidence of what I'm saying. It's like slavery ended yesterday, and they still see things through the lens of slavery. Um, you see, look at how the people are dressed. You know, you got a slave ship here. This is from the novella called Escrava Mãe, meaning a mother slave. You know, there was a second novella that was called Liberdade, Liberdade. Look at the clothes that they have on. You know, look at the images of slavery. This is taken from the novella Liberdade, Liberdade. Brazil still likes to show novellas set in the slavery era, which again, it figures into what I'm talking about today. This how slavery is still imprinted on the minds, the Brazilian psyche, we'll just say. Now, this is an article from 2016, a throwback to the slavery era in the city of Vassouras. And, let's say a descendant of a plantation owner dressed her workers as well. She dressed up as like the mistress, you know, the slave owner's wife, and she dressed her employees up as slaves to greet and serve tourists coming in for, again, another like nostalgic return back to slavery. She made the plantation farm where she lives into a slavery era type of tourist attraction. So she's got black women dressed up as if they're still slaves, okay, serving white people. I mean, what else can we say about this? This goes on and on. I want to show this as well. Then we have this video that I did. I guess it's been about, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks. Just more evidence. Blacks have to have their backs whipped, drink water from the toilet after racist comments online. Man arrested in Belo Horizonte. This is in the state of Minas Gerais, where another city. Belo Horizonte is the capital of Minas Gerais, but just wanted to point out that the story that I'm doing today is also happening in Minas Gerais. This guy is saying he was actually saying we should have never ended the slavery era. Man arrested after posting video of racist comments. I mean, a nostalgia about slavery. Black people should still be slaves in his view. Then we have this video right here. You'll stay in my slave quarters. Doctor ordered to pay 300,000 reais after recording video of black male worker tied up by his wrist, and having on ankle shackles as if he were still a slave. So you see here, this is the reason why I wanted to talk about this, because as I said, it's 2024. And in Brazil, in the mind, people still look at black people as if they're slaves, which is why I wanted to cover this video today. Before I go back to the beginning here, just wanted to point out the article that I'm doing today spoke on how the aggressor in the video was talking about the current president, Lula da Silva, as well as the former president, Jair Bolsonaro, who's considered the Brazilian Trump. And look what I found today. I just heard about this. Brazil's Bolsonaro and allies are indicted in the 2022 coup plot probe. Brazilian police charged Jair Bolsonaro and 36 others of the 2022 coup plot. Former Brazilian president indicted over alleged coup plot. So if you hadn't heard this, maybe I'll cover it. I might want to talk about this, but people remember in the United States that there was this insurrection that happened in January. Was that January 2020, 2021? Well, something similar happened in Brazil a few years later. The incident in the United States happened, by people who were supporters of Trump. In Brazil, people took over the capital, the seat of the government in Brazil's capital city, Brasilia. It was called the Federal District, and they took over there. They marched over, and they took over the facility. It was kind of like an insurrection. It was almost like they were just directly influenced by what happened in the United States when Trump lost the election to Joe Biden. In the same way, when Bolsonaro lost the election to Lula da Silva, they took over the capital. Have to talk about that one day. So if you're not familiar, the current president of Brazil is Lula da Silva. And he took over for his third term, but he defeated Jair Bolsonaro. Lula da Silva is considered a liberal president of the left, and Jair Bolsonaro is considered to be a politician of the far right, again, being considered the Brazilian Trump. It's been a few years that Lula's been in office now, but I think that people would probably vote for Bolsonaro if he were to run again. So anyway, this is why I wanted to talk about this video today, because it just speaks so much about how people think in Brazil. I'm not saying everybody does, but why do we keep hearing these stories that have some connection to slavery. So here it is. We're celebrating the month of Black consciousness here in November. And like the day of or the day after the National Day of Black Consciousness, and you have this white man, he pays a black man 10 reais to whip his back, to whip his shirtless back. What are you guys thinking about this right now? I'm just curious. Definitely drop a comment in the comment section. I want to hear what people think about this. What do you have to say? Constantly somebody making a reference to slavery in modern day Brazil. It's troublesome to me. Anyway, make sure you like this video, share this video, consider subscribing to the channel, click on the notification bell so that you know when I put up a new video. With that said, I'm going to end the video here and request that you all come back. Check out the next video that I post here at Black Brazil Today.